Hey guys, today we're going to talk about this new age investing philosophy that the numbers do not matter. Okay, so I feel like the first stock that really emphasized this philosophy is Tesla. Now, I think everyone knows by now that Tesla has had one of the most incredible years of any car company in the history of car companies. From a stock market point of view, and maybe even one of the most incredible years, in general among any type of company like this. And we've seen the share price go from something like 70 or 80 to 600. The valuation now is about around 600 billion, something crazy like that. 21 times sales, obviously extremely high. For something that is it's a tech company, but it's a car company. At the end of the day, Tesla sells cars, right? So at a valuation of 21 times sales, that's pretty insane considering there is so many costs involved. At least with a tech company, it kind of scales a certain way. There's no manufacturing, logistics, all this kind of stuff. Tesla is just a pure car company. Obviously their technology is, there's patents and all this other stuff, and it's a tech company, and they're changing the game in so many different ways, right? Elon Musk is brilliant, obviously, but the reality is 21 times sales for a car company tells us that there's this kind of new age investor emerging, and these investors are telling us, we don't really care about what the numbers say. In this case, we believe in Elon Musk, we believe in Tesla, we believe in what they're doing, and we really don't care what some hedge fund manager or what some old school investor who's gonna take out his discounted cash flow and write a bunch of numbers on a spreadsheet. We don't really care what those people have to say because we believe in Elon Musk. And to be fair, why wouldn't they? Everything this man has touched has turned into gold and platinum. This guy is one of the most brilliant entrepreneurs of our time. This guy is one of the most brilliant people of our time. So to say that you're just going to believe in whatever he's doing, that makes a lot of sense. Now, when it comes to investing and when it comes to buying stock, these two things aren't always exactly correlated. You could really believe in someone. You could really believe in what they're doing. You could really believe that they're going to defy the odds and beat expectations. But stocks are, at least historically, they've been very quantitatively driven in terms of looking at numbers, looking at all this kind of stuff. And the reason that is just because those big players controlled the market. Those hedge fund managers, those big portfolios, all that kind of stuff. But now you're seeing more and more people get into the market just because it's so easy. Anyone with a mobile app can really invest in whatever they feel like is going to go up. And as a result, they're seeing some crazy valuations for a company like Tesla that's in the car industry. 21 times sales. It's incredible to see what's going on with Tesla. And to Elon Musk's credit, this guy has been doubted, and this guy has faced so many barriers. So to be where they are today, it almost feels like they're just getting started. That's what I like about Tesla. It almost feels like they're just getting started. Would I personally buy the stock? No, I wouldn't buy the stock, just because it's a hype train. And when I say it's a hype train, I'm not saying Tesla is a hype, or Tesla is too hyped up, or Elon Musk is too hyped up. But both Elon and Tesla deserve all the hype they get. But from a stock market point of view, there's just, I'm not seeing value in that valuation, right? And the best buys, of this year, and the best buys in the last few years have never really been companies that have been overly hyped at a point. I didn't think Zoom at like 550 a couple months ago was a great buy, and I don't feel like these companies that go up so fast and there's all this hype, I just don't like that as an investing model personally. Now obviously people have made a lot of money recently on Tesla, but that a lot of that is kind of like this this bubble factor of it going up and up and up. Is it going to burst? Maybe not, because the type of people that are buying Tesla, they're really, really in it for the long game. They're young, they're smart, they are, they're really thinking about what the company could do. They don't just see it as a car company, they see it as a electrical vehicle company and more as a technology company. And so there's no limits to what this company can accomplish. The only reason I say I wouldn't buy it is because I don't feel like it's a great value play, right? Like, two of my favorite investment picks of this year were Norwegian cruise lines. They're around I actually had it at around $10. I know it went as low as I think it went as low as $8. And Boeing, back when it was all the way down in like I think it went down to 95, but the low hundreds. When you just look at companies like that, I'm a huge fan of that kind of investing, because every time someone, I like buying companies that people are very negative about, that people are extremely bearish on, are not having a good kind of period of time, but have long-term sustainable business models. From a stock market investing standpoint, from a stock market investing standpoint, those were good buys, because $8, coming, I think they went all the way down from like something like 60 something dollars Norwegian. I don't remember the exact amount, but I just remember at 8, it was actually at 10, but it went down to 8. At 10, it was just way too enticing to give up. Boeing, same thing. I mean, Boeing's even easier, because there's just two real players in that market, and you have Norwegian, and you have Airbus in France, and obviously a lot of American companies are going to continue to go with Boeing. A lot of international companies are going to go with Boeing. So just because a couple planes went down and they had a bad year, unfortunately for everyone involved, it doesn't mean that the company is worth like such a small percentage of what it was worth before. It just didn't make sense at the time. So those were good values. Tesla, again, great company, super smart founder. Actually, that's an understatement. The guy's a genius. There's no doubting that. And it's really kind of crazy to see how fast this company has gone up. I think it's just up like 600% or whatever since the beginning of the year, something crazy. So it's been a wild ride for Tesla. Will it continue to go up at that pace? I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And it's the same type of investing philosophy and these same type of investors that are just buying Airbnb stock, right? And maybe the same with DoorDash, but I feel like it's a Tesla type investor that's really into the Airbnb type stock, Airbnb model. We talked about this in the last video. Airbnb, within a matter of just a couple hours, went from about, I think it was $68. That's kind of what it was supposed to open at, and it was like boom, right when it was supposed to open, it just went up to like 150, right? So the company went from being worth something like 48 billion to over 100 billion within just an afternoon. So it was quite a crazy day, the IPO for Airbnb. We'll see where that goes. We're going to be tracking that closely today and tomorrow and the rest of the month to just see kind of how that, if that's going to stabilize and kind of go down to kind of where the valuation feels a little bit more realistic at this point. Again, not saying the company can't get to a point where 100 billion sounds super reasonable, but at this point, it seems a little bit far-fetched to go that high. It has to be definitely the highest like price to sales ratio in the travel industry, as far as I know. I could be wrong, but I mean, I can't imagine something's going to be have a higher price to sales ratio than that. That's insane. So it's the same type of Tesla investor that's kind of jumping onto the Airbnb bandwagon. As we said in our last couple of videos, Airbnb is a great company. Airbnb is positioning itself to be almost the Google of the travel industry, but this concept that the numbers don't matter It's really a new concept. It's really a concept that we haven't seen on for maybe 20 years, 25 years, like when the tech bubble of like the late 90s. It almost feels like that is happening all over again. It almost feels like there's this new generation of investors that weren't old enough to remember that, or don't really know the history of that, and they're young and they're excited and they kind of see the future and they really believe in these companies. This generation really believes in these companies, and they really believe that if they have that gut feeling, if they think it's a great company, if they're using it, if their friends are using it, then they're going to go all in, and they are going to invest with their money and just hold that stock and see where it goes. So I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down, but how much is the Airbnb stock going to go down in the next few weeks remains to be seen, because there's a lot of the type of people I imagine that are buying these shares at these valuations. I think there's a lot of people who are just going to kind of hold it and not want to sell and just kind of see what happens with the company, especially in 2021. So do I think there's going to be a dip, from 150? Yes, I do. But is it going to go down to what it was supposed to open at, which I think was 68? No, I don't believe that it's going to go that low again in the near future. I'd be surprised if it does, just because it went up so much on the first day. I don't think there's really no reason for this rush to sell. Airbnb's business model is solid. They've been through a lot, and I think that it's going to be a really, really good decade ahead for them. And a lot of these investors, they don't care about the numbers now. They don't care about whatever metrics that some hedge fund manager in some glass office tower in New York City or London is calculating. They really, really, really just believe in this company for the future and are willing to be patient and see this company kind of achieve what they think the company's worth, and then eventually surpass that. And that is, and you can't blame them. I don't know of a company that's more of a sure bet to, in my opinion, dominate an industry than Airbnb. It's just, I don't feel like at this point you're going to see, like, if you're buying in at 150, I don't know how long it's going to take for you to make a reasonable enough profit to kind of wait, to get your money back. Is it going to go to 200 or 250 or 300? I don't see that happening anytime soon. And if it does, it's just the craziness of the bubble, and it's just not exactly the best approach to investing, in my opinion. It's awesome if you get in early and that you kind of ride the bubble, but I like companies that are either progressively moving up because they're doing really great things, and they're becoming leaders in their industry. Another example that I really like that I picked earlier is HubSpot, and I'm a HubSpot user, so I really believe in their product, and I could kind of see what they're doing on the platform. I'm also a huge fan of Upwork, another great company that I've just seen, as a user myself, having hired people on there, just seen that, company kind of rise. I think they were, around 6 in April, now they're about 30, so that's been great. Those are the kind of companies that are really exciting. Another one is RingCentral. I'm not even a huge fan of RingCentral as a company. I've used RingCentral for 5 years. As a product. I've bid on I've called their customer support many times, more in the early stages of my experience with them. Really upset, really angry about certain things, and yet I couldn't find a competitor that came even close to their offering. And so that's one I actually missed out on. I should have known. The second they kept billing me like $400 a month, and I couldn't find a competitor. I should have known like a few years ago. This is a good company to buy, and sure enough, it's gone up like an insane amount in the past 4 years. So these are the types of companies that I like. These are the kinds of investment opportunities I like. Companies that people are not really talking about. The numbers should make sense, but from a philosophy standpoint, I like companies where people are not talking about them, and preferably I'm using them as a customer, and I know exactly why I'm using them as a customer, and I can feel like there's going to be more and more people like me in the future. I like to think of myself as someone who's usually ahead of the game in terms of trying some of these new products out. So if I'm using it, I like it. I think it's a good product. I can't find a suitable alternative. People aren't really talking about it. It's relatively young as a company. These are exciting factors. These are where you can kind of, something like Upwork, if you invested earlier this year, you could truly make, 5 or 6 times your money. And it makes sense. It makes sense. The reasons for it make sense as to why it would grow that much. Airbnb, are you really going to go, is it going to go from like 150 to 300, 150 to 250 anytime soon? I would be shocked if it does. I don't think so. So it just doesn't make sense. You're kind of buying pretty high right now at 150, at $100 billion valuation if you're buying it at 150. So it's been a really interesting kind of last quarter of 2020. We'll see what 2021 has in store, but it has, it almost feels like 1999 over again when you look at the how the DoorDash IPO went up out of the gate. I know it's gone down like 10% in the last day. I think we're just a couple days away. Removed from the IPO. And Airbnb yesterday was just crazy. It's this Tesla philosophy has really, taken over. There's a lot of young, excited investors. I'm sure a lot of these people made a lot of money in the last few months with the pandemic, and they just kind of, are taking that money and investing in their favorite companies. And you're seeing those companies just skyrocket, and everyone's kind of confused. Everyone's wondering what's going on, but that's just the world we live in today. That's just where we are at this current moment, coming into the final month of the first year of the pandemic. So really interesting stuff. We'll be keeping an eye on these companies, and we will be watching very closely as to what other opportunities there are, both for investing and just, as a general interest, just to see how, these things go. It's going to be really interesting.